Yes, ma'am.
Sheila Ranis from Walsh College. You have a premise that the United States has a grand strategy. And honestly, sir,
This is the question I feared.
Do you really think we have one? Because I do not.
The question is, do we have a grand strategy? I do think we have a grand strategy. I think what's happened here is that up until 1989, the United States had to seriously worry about other great powers on the planet. If you think about the period from 1900, when the United States finally establishes itself as the dominant power in the Western Hemisphere, in the wake of the Spanish-American War. We finally established hegemony in the Western Hemisphere. This is about 1900. If you think about the period from 1900 to 1989, right, when we thought about the external world, what we worried most about was other great powers. Imperial Germany, Imperial Japan, Nazi Germany, and the Soviet Union. And all of us, or most of us in this room, spent a lot of time thinking about the Soviet Union during the latter part of the Cold War, okay? What happens in 1989 is the United States emerges as the most powerful state on the planet by far. And people talk about unipolarity. And if you think about what the word unipolarity means, it means there's only one pole. And pole is a synonym for great power. There's only one great power on the planet. So there are no great power politics because you can't have great power versus great power. There's just one great power, okay? So that's point number one. Point number two is, if you think about where we're headed now, right? Remember I said I think this is a plastic moment, and if I was giving just a talk on that particular subject, I would have emphasized this, which I did not. What's happening now with the Chinese coming back on, with the Chinese coming into the picture as a rising great power, is that great power politics are coming back to the fore, okay? Now, in the period between 1989 and the present, you said it does not appear that we've had a grand strategy. And I'm somewhat sympathetic to that, because in the absence of great power politics, given, number one, how rich we are, and number two, how much military force we have, and given our imperial mission, our belief that we stand taller, that we see further, that we are the indispensable nation. When you begin to think like this, and you have all that power, and you have no great power adversary to check you, what you try to do is everything. And that's what we've done. And this, I believe, is why you're saying we've not had a grand strategy. We're not bankrupt, but we're in trouble. I agree with you, but the point is that we went on this imperial rampage, right? We went on this imperial rampage before we were bankrupt, if you're correct that we're bankrupt, right? And my point to you is we have not prioritized. We have not put limits, right? Remember, I said that in my talk, that when you have serious threats and you have budget limitations, you prioritize. That's when grand strategy comes into play, right? So in a funny way, I have to agree with you that there has not been much of a grand strategy in the 89 to the present window. And again, what I'm saying is that's due in good part to the absence of another great power to check us, number one. And number two, the fact that we're so rich. And number three, the fact that, we have this sense of ourselves that has led us to believe that we have a right and a responsibility to run the world. And once you're going down that road, it's hard to think about grand strategy. But my point is, that's changing, right? I think that's changing. First of all, the budget deficit. I don't, again, agree that we're bankrupt, but the budget deficit is a huge problem. And the rise of China. It's great power politics coming back to the fore.
Sir, would you like to make any closing comments before we take the break?
No, I only have one thing to say, and that is I wish I had another 2 hours to take questions. 'Cause